consider becoming a part of this community. I'm building a community now. I'm over 1,000 subscribers. I know that's just a number. I don't know how many people actually come and watch every video when I make them, but if you subscribe and hit the all bell, you should receive notifications as to when I've made a short. That should show up in your news feed, or when I've made a new video, or when I have made a community post. So, welcome to Mystic Monday. This is the new thing that I am starting. I am planning and preparing videos for once a week now, and I'm calling it Mystic Mondays. So on Mystic Mondays, it could be a variety of things. I could be talking about a book that helped me really learn a few things. I may be talking about stories, coffee chat, telling stories. I tell stories all the time anyway, right? If you've been here before. And I'm always learning and growing. I've studied different traditions, and I have landed onto the temple path practicing Hinduism because I have learned about numerology to the extent that our life path number is a very, very important key to our soul, the makeup of our soul, and the spirits that actually align with the frequency of our soul. So that would be Ganesha and Shiva. That's a perfect tie-in here.
By word and wonder, my name. Remember it well.
So I came across a candle working, because I'm crazy about candle workings, that was just like a light bulb moment. It was a little bit of a mind blower to me, and I want to talk to you about it. Okay? So this is a little bit of a talk, and then we're actually going to go through the process of doing this candle working. What I came across was something almost identical to what we call the Shiva Abhishekam at temple. Now, I started going to temple in June of 2024. So I've been on the temple path now for 2 years. After a couple of months, I decided I really just wanted to go to the Shiva Puja, which was every Monday, because I'd had a dream connecting me to Shiva. I've been a meditator for many, many years, and of course now I am a mystic. In the tradition of Kashmir Shaivism, in the practice of honoring or devoting or communing with the deity called Shiva, the concept is, in Kashmir Shaivism, the sacred union of the opposites. This is not unknown. This is the crux of many religions who are extremely adamant about the union of especially the opposites, and it being sanctified in marriage. Hopefully you have found the right partner. We never always really know, though. Anyway, in whether there is a formal ceremony of union in front of witnesses or not, it is considered sacred because it is the process by which another life can be created. And hopefully that has been your intention. And when you have that type of meeting of the minds with someone where you want to be responsible and, for the care of another human being as it's growing up, there's no harder job in the world then that is what you embark on. And so, but in the concept of just what it is, all right, in creating. And that could be creating anything, guys. It's the act of creation. I've had things happen after I created my very first liquid mist, not an oil. And when I finished creating that, I gave it a name. I said, you know, Shiva, I mean, if I could just get $5 for this right now, I'd be happy. And I went out to get $5 worth of gasoline to put into my vehicle, and I went in to prepay, and as I was coming out, there was a $5 bill on the ground in front of me. Nobody was there. So it's just about creating. We all have the ability to create within us. We all have both the aspects of masculine divinity and feminine divinity. We are created from both, therefore we do contain both of those energies within us. So even if you're a man and you're woodworking or welding and creating something, you have gotten in touch with that aspect of yourself, which is the feminine divine, that actually gives birth into the physical. That is what is behind this particular ritual. In that ritual, we have the male form, and I've made a video about how I do my own Shiva blessing offering on Mondays at home. The male form is represented by the lingam. Now, the lingam word itself means mark, or X marks the spot. It is a point of focus. And when we talk about devotion, we're talking about communion and focus. We are removing ourselves from distractions. One reason why we go to temple. But if you're doing it at home, you do need to be free of distractions. You need to get in the right mindset. Okay, so we have the male form, and then it's set in a receptacle, which is round, and it has an opening at the end. It very much represents the womb and the canal with which a human life is born into the physical realm where we live, where we exist. Okay? So this is the concept behind it. All of the things that are poured onto the lingam are representations of the feminine. And so they are water and milk and yogurt and ghee and honey, things that flow, things that are related to the waters of the earth, which is related to the feminine, the goddess, the creator energy, that which gives birth to the flower that actually eventually comes up to the surface, right? So, and as we have more and more and more, and is pouring out, that is the representation of our desire, our intention being born into the world. Now, there's other things that go into that particular tradition and that particular ritual and working. And when it's over, we do put a flower. Now, flowers are said to be from heaven. They carry a very wonderful energy to them, a frequency, and a smell. So when I came across this particular working, which apparently is part of the hoodoo tradition, like I said, I was just fascinated. I was kind of mind blown because I knew what it was. How is this possible? Well, I think it's something like morphic resonance. And that is similar to, why does it always rain after I wash my car? I think it's because, and I read this in a book, it seems that things that are in the air, that have occurred many times over many hundreds or thousands of years, seem to be lingering in the air. And that relates to the mental plane. And how does another country and another land pick up on these ideas and start incorporating them into their tradition, into their spiritual practice? They've picked it up in the air, from the mental plane. So that is my theory on that. I have read this in a book from an author, and it makes sense to me. I do know that the air and the wind can actually hold energy. It can hold highly charged events that can be seen at certain times, or highly spiritual events that can be heard, like a recording. So that is the spiritual aspect of that, and the element of air and the mind. So the Hoodoo tradition has this particular working called a miracle blessing, or a miracle candle working. And I have to change the name a little bit to adapt it. So I'm going to call it a quick blessing. What we're going to have for this is a plate or a bowl, and I'm using what I generally use for my own Shiva Abhishek. I kind of need a bigger receptacle, but I chose to use this candle holder, which kind of has a round bowl around it at the bottom, and this circle here. And the taper candle in the tradition of magical practices has always been said it corresponds to the male form. And that has to do with the seed and the idea and the will, right? Now, here's something I'm going to pass down to you as a mystic. After about 6 months or so of practicing the Abhishek at temple, I had a dream around June 22nd. What starts then? I guess that's the end of Gemini and the beginning of Cancer. But I dreamed that I was in temple, standing, getting ready to participate in the blessing, the offering, and the ritual of Shiva Abhishek. And I heard a voice say to me, "Go out into the lobby, the front foyer area, and ask Mohini to come." Okay, Mohini is a female depicted in stories that was an avatar of Vishnu. Vishnu is said to be the best friend of Shiva, but one day decided to come down. His only time that he came down as an avatar as a woman, in the form that he knew would excite Shiva so much that he would become aroused and release his seed. This is metaphorical, guys. Listen. This is the story of creation. One story of creation. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but as she continued to come closer and closer to Shiva, she did in fact end up seducing him, and he released his seed, and she got pregnant. I guess she wanted a child and gave birth to a child. I don't remember the rest of the story. Please go ahead and share it down below, please, if you know what I'm talking about. This is the concept behind Kashmir Shaivism. All right. By getting the flowing of the feminine onto the form. It's a beautiful thing, guys, okay? This is a sacred thing. We entice the energy of the masculine, and we have our intention already set, just like Mohini, that we want something to be birthed into the world. That's what it's about. That's what it means. Whatever it is, maybe you have a business and a product, okay? You're focusing on what it is you need to actually be produced and brought into the world and presented and marketed and sold and, you know, bring money, resources so that you can eat. All those things. But this is the story, and it's the concept that we don't see that's going on, okay? It's hidden, it's spiritual, it's the concept behind everything really that's going on when we create and bring something into the world. Just like the $5 that I asked for after I made a relaxing water mist. And there it was on the ground. Unfortunately, there are some religions that only equate this type of a story to the physical and the family, and, you know, that a child must come out of it. And I've said before, there's other things that we can create in this world beside babies. I don't believe that that should and does not define two people that love each other that decide to be together. It does not. It should not, and it does not. So, for this particular working, as I normally say, it's important to carve a candle. It's just not something that we need to do for this particular working. You're going to need a taper candle. Pink, I believe, is what is usually used in the hoodoo tradition. I happen to still have a pink candle, and it does correspond to Venus. So we've got the symbol of the form, the male form, and the color relating to the feminine, Venus. You can, if you would like to, smudge the candle first with some type of incense. We do burn incense during ritual, and sometimes it's a little bit, some people are coughing and their eyes are watering, so I myself am sensitive to incense, but I do let it burn for about a minute or two, and it does equate to air, so it can attract spirit. And because of what happened to me in the dream, I do, in my mind, ask Mohini to come. I'm something of a medium, right? Now, the other thing you're going to need is a candle holder, some type of receptacle or a bowl or a plate, something to catch the fluid, and then some flowers. I have dried flowers that are from temple. They were given to me at the end of the ceremony. And then today, what we're going to be pouring on the candle for the male form is oil. I highly recommend olive oil. It is very popular in magical traditions because it does represent manifesting into the physical world. That is the tradition that has been used for many, 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 many years. So why not plug into that energy and use that? And a lighter. Now we're not going to light the candle first. What we're going to do first is set our intention. Instead of lighting the candle and then focusing on our intention, we are going to focus on our intention first. This is what we were led to do last week at Temple. Sit and relax and focus. You must have clear in your mind what it is that you want. If you know that you need a better car, decide, I need a 4-door sedan. I need air conditioning and heating to be working. No later than the year 2016. 2016 4-door sedan automobile. 2016 4-door sedan automobile. Right? So you keep it simple and then state that. I want to receive the call from Mr. or Miss so-and-so at such and such the company to be asked to come in for an interview. Or what day and time can I start training? I want to work at XYZ company. I need a raise at ABC company. I need to be recognized for a specific thing with so-and-so. Do you see what I mean? The shorter that you can make your statement, the better you're going to be. This has worked for me when I have simply stated, I need X amount of dollars now. I can't keep up. And I was, talking to myself, but that was firm in my mind and firmly stated this amount of money or more. And I made a video about that. How I manifested that amount of money. I did it again several months later for a smaller amount. I need such and such amount of money. And that was clear in my mind. And then I performed the devotion. Now one day, the priest asked me, what do you think when you're giving the offerings? And I said, well, at this point, with having the emotional clearings that I've had, and then the dream where I felt I was connecting to Shiva, and I'm being led here, right? All those things. He had said, well, it sounds to me like it's time for you to step on the path. I said, all I can think of is thank you. And he smiled. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's all I kept saying in my mind as I was performing the offering. So this is you thanking the energies that can manifest for giving you what you need. What you want should be what you need. We don't always want what's best for us. But we know we have needs. And it might seem like a large amount of money to ask, but, ask for it anyway. Or a car, I need somebody to give me a car. Or, you see what I mean? So, relax. Get yourself relaxed. Slow down your breathing. The thing I want, I need right now. Now the number 3 is sacred in Hinduism. It's everywhere. Why? Because it's the number of creation. Shiva and Mohini made a baby. That's the story, okay? So now, as you take the olive oil, we're going to pour 3 times. And each time you do, you can say, thank you for manifesting my need. Or you can say, manifest my need. I manifest my serious desire. I manifest a strong blessing. In the Hoodoo tradition, it's I manifest a miracle. I manifest a miracle. So you decide how you want to word it, okay? And then you're going to pour. And I'm going to say what I would say. Thank you for fulfilling my need. Thank you for fulfilling my need. Thank you for fulfilling my need. That's it. Now you're going to take flowers and you're going to put them around. It's another offering. Now at temple, we don't light the lingam, obviously, but we do take a fire in oil and we wave it up and down, back and forth, all around. We add the element of fire. So we now have all the elements. As I've said, Om Namah Shivaya, Nama is earth and water, Shiva, Ya, is fire and air. So the candle actually represents all the elements. A candle wax is physical, like earth. It burns with fire, which also needs air to be fire. And then as the candle is melting, it flows like water. So now you're going to light your candle offering. And here is where it is said to be a different type of working, in that it's more like conjure, which means you're going to conjure up. You're not necessarily just working with your spirit guide, your guardian angel, or an ancestor. You're actually working with deities. So whatever deity you would like to call upon, if you are familiar with one, in this case for me, of course, it is the concept of Shiva, and the cosmos is involved, the ether and the stars. Remember, fire represents the sun, and the sun is a hot star. So we have everything here that we know to be existing in nature and the physical plane, and we are connecting in a very, very deep way. So you get your nervous system regulated. You calm down. And the more you are calm, the stronger your focus. So here again, you can sit for at least 5 minutes and gaze at the fire to improve your focus. And you can do that for about a minute. It won't hurt you. And you can visualize your need occurring, or you can simply feel gratitude and thanks. I'm happy to give the representation of life, the free-flowing representation of overflowing and giving birth into the physical. My need. I feel very fortunate. It's extremely quiet around here today. That's always helpful. Sometimes you have to learn how to tune certain things out if there's other people around. But definitely make sure that your phone is off, the TV is turned way down. Maybe you can even put some earplugs in so that you can focus, guys. Focus. It is the power of focus. The laser beam of focus that is going to really help create your need to come in for you. And remember, when we see that something is happening, or we need to go out and apply for a different job, you have to take action. You can't expect everything just to come to you. We many times have to meet things halfway, at least, right? If you're offered a job, you have to go to work and do the job. They're not just going to write you a check. So, that is it for today. And I hope you've enjoyed this little lesson about what I have learned from this particular working in the Hoodoo tradition and how much it mirrors the Shiva offering that we do at temple, which I guess I've just gotten to the point where I'm so connected to that. I've had tremendous luck. So that's it for today. Remember to practice candle safety. If you can be near it while it's burning all the way down, go ahead. Otherwise, you can continue this for several days. You'll snuff it out before you leave. Namaste, blessed be. Thank you for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.